Good afternoon, everyone. I am so excited to be here with my bud over there, Joe. So we have a nice treat because Joe is definitely one of my buds. So I'm so excited to have him on Coffee with Cher. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Sharice Jervis Hill. I'm the president of Events to Remember and PR to Remember. And I have a good treat for you, my bud Joe, president of Corporate Audio Visual, Joe Guilderson. Welcome to Coffee with Cher, my bud.
I mean, this is a pleasure. I'm not usually on the other side, so this is fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
You can be in charge today. I'm just going to hang back and just answer questions.
Sounds good. Sounds good. All right, Joe, let's start with the little cheers. Let's start with our little
Ooh,
afternoon cheers.
a little
All right.
cheers.
I'm playing you somewhere in
I'm
virtual
going this
land.
way.
All right. Okay, good. I like your mug.
Well, thank you. I'm a big fan of M&Ms,
Mm,
and
yeah.
red's my favorite color, as you can
Ah,
see.
I didn't know that. Now I know red is your favorite color, and your other bud Arnold loves M&Ms too. My husband, who we know
I
he
knew
loves.
we were very much in the same mind. So,
So, Joe, let's get into it. So, tell us about corporate audio visual. Tell us how you got started. Tell us about your journey. All of that fun stuff. Let's
okay.
go.
I mean, are these the hot seat questions? Because I don't know
Hot
if I'm
seat.
prepared for this kind of pressure.
Joe,
All right.
we've had some pressure situations at events, and you are always super cool. So I know you have this. Come on, let's go.
All right, all right. I can do it. I can do it. Well, corporate audio visual provides sound, video, and lights, and we help people communicate, usually to larger audiences. So the way I got involved in this was kind of an abstract path, to be honest. I was living in Boston. That's where all my family is from. My entire world is there. All of my sports teams, as you can see all around me, are
Mhm.
from the great city of Boston. Um, but I was doing something entirely different, involved in the uniform industry and even with industrial tools for a long time. But it
Hmm.
became kind of, I was always involved in sales.
Mhm.
But there was a time where a change was needed. And my son had just been born. He was maybe 11 months at that time. And my wife at that time was from the area, from Westchester County. And
Mhm.
her father said to me, look, if you're looking to get out of that and try something different, I have a friend who could probably use your help in sales. And he goes,
Mhm.
I think you'd probably really like this stuff. I'm
Mhm.
like, well, because he said, you're really into art and music and design. This would probably be right up your alley. And
Mhm.
so that was many years ago. That was 17, 18 years ago now.
Wow.
And so I joined here at Corporate Audio Visual. The founder was Lou Mazza, really great guy.
Mhm.
And so I worked for him in sales and development. And then just a year later, we made a little bit of a transaction, and then I took over, and he moved on to something else. So that got me here. And from that point, it was just a matter of trying to really carve out who we were and better
Mhm.
define ourselves. And so that's kind of what I spend every day trying to do, is define ourselves.
And it changes, right? Like having a business for that long, we all know anyone who has a business knows that we're always evolving, right?
Yeah, you have to. I mean, that's
Yeah.
just the reality. When I first started, we had a lot of very small meetings.
Mhm.
And I mean, there was like a million of them. They seemed to all happen at the same time. It was honestly, it was terrible. But so we started planning, okay, we got to be working on bigger projects, things that we can actually help people a little bit more. And
Mhm.
and that started that path. But at that time too, most of our work was in New York City.
Mhm.
And I always thought it's better for us to be a part of something and be a part of the community. And of course, like I said, I had just moved here. So
Mhm.
it helped me kind of get to know the area
Get
as
to know.
well.
Yeah. Yeah.
I got involved networking and trying to
Mhm.
meet people, and it's a really great area. And
Mhm.
the combination of proximity to New York
Yeah.
and all the green and the trees and nature, it's
Yeah.
very cool. And so we started really focusing our efforts kind of closer to home.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sure that that's how we met at some point, was
Yeah.
because we were trying to be more involved with groups locally.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And, and it just worked out really well. And we're very active in the community now, and our work is pretty much split between New York and Westchester and then
Mm-hmm.
certain other travel projects,
Yeah.
but it's nice to be close to home.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, I love Westchester. I really do. I feel like it's the best of both worlds. You know, everything that you mentioned. You know, we have the green. We have you were so close. We could be, you know, in the city. You know, I mean, from my office, I could literally be Grand Central in 30 minutes. You know, so yeah, so definitely. And here we are, Joe. So that's thank you for kind of sharing your journey. So you know, as we learn to evolve with our businesses, what sets you apart from your competition? And let me know. And I also want to kind of piggyback that question with, is it the same now than, would this answer be the same now than it would have been 18 years ago?
Well, it's a good question, because that's when I first started, right? I just came here. I was new to the industry, new to the area, pretty
Mhm.
much didn't know anything. I still don't really know that much, but I know a little bit more. I asked the former owner, I said, all right, so, you know, tell me what makes us different. And
Mhm.
he looked at me and he said, I don't know, we're kind of all the same. I said, oh man, I'm doomed. What have I got myself into? But so every day since then has been like, all right, we have to stand out some way, somehow.
Mhm.
And I guess the first thing I look at, like, we always look at it as a long-term situation. So it's not a one night
Yeah,
partnership. It's really, we're trying to have a long-term relationship. And so that changes how you think about things. If
yeah,
you're not transactional, then you think about it differently.
yeah,
And so the long-term relationship is kind of the first thing that makes us different, because the whole team thinks like that.
yeah.
And many of our technical team, the people who are normally not right out in front having conversations, they know a lot of our clients very
Hmm.
well. And
Yeah,
so there's that comfort level, there's a trust, and that's really what we're always trying to do, is have that sort of bond. And that's
yeah,
the partner mentality. It's not just a one night thing.
yeah.
Um, I guess I always look at our environment's just a little bit different too, our actual culture.
Mhm.
And, you know, I guess when I look at the first thing, when we hire people, we're trying to bring people on who fit.
Mm.
So they usually have a background in music or the arts or photography or theater,
Mhm.
something related to that, even more than tech.
Yeah.
And we're looking for, like, I've found that we have to be the right place for that time in their life.
Mm.
Like, otherwise it doesn't really work,
Mhm.
you know? And it's the same thing. It's that long-term relationship.
Yeah,
That's what you really want with your team too, right?
definitely. Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
But you
No.
know, and we're very fortunate that, I mean, we do so many things together. It's not even funny. I mean, we eat together. We have pizza Fridays. We know each other's family. We support each other during good times, bad times. We even have our own band, because we have
Yes.
so many musicians here that you guys can tune in, learn where wireless mic and the analog is going to be playing. This is the drummer right here. So
That's awesome. I love that. And everything you said is, you know, is so true. I mean, I know your team and you have a great team, very committed, you know, and just the whole relationship mentality and the calming, because when I'm on site at an event, you know, people say you're so calm and, you know, I have my run a show and I have a plan B, C, D, you know, in my head, but it does give me an extra comfort level when we have you guys on site, because you know I just know how dedicated your team is. So I agree with everything that you just said.
you know, part
So
of what you just mentioned, how the reason you're calm is because you've planned it and you have a schedule.
mhm.
And in the very beginning, you had mentioned, are things the same now as they were, you know, a decade and a half ago? No, in the very beginning, most of our work, somebody gave us the schedule, somebody produced a video, someone told us, that the band was coming at this time and that the electrical was all set. Like, we got all that information given to us, but those were small projects. As we started going along, we knew we needed more information, and in a kind of a different fashion. And we said, well, wouldn't it make more sense if we actually get that information that would help our client, right? And some of the things they just don't really understand. So why don't we do that? And so we started kind of doing some of those elements of production early on. And then once the virtual time came, the old pandemic showed up in town. And then we had to take everything. And we're like, okay, we kind of been waiting for this day, I guess, in some regards, but that caused us to kind of change how we did things. And, and now it's a blend of everything, and people are back in action. Literally, the two events we have going on today and tomorrow are mixtures of the two skills that we put together over time. We're doing all of online streaming. We're building out graphics and videos. We're in person. We're doing all sound, video, lights, and they're counting on us really to plan those things for them. So it goes right back to what you say. That's why you're calm. You're prepared.
Prepared, always, definitely. That's what they pay us for, right? To make sure that, we are ready, so our clients have that comfort level. So definitely.
I thought it was the cool mug, but you're saying they pay us for other things. Is that?
They pay us for other things, Joe.
It's not the cool mug?
It's not the cool mug. I
It's
mean,
pretty cool, though.
It is, but my mug is pretty cool. My face is on it. This is my Coffee with Cher mug.
Man, I don't have one of those. I was so unprepared for this.
I'm going to start marketing these. I love my little mug.
Absolutely.
All right. So, Joe,
yes.
What's new? We're still at kind of like the first quarter, right? Anything new happening at Corporate AV? Anything you want to share? Anything popping off that we all need to know about?
Well, there's always stuff happening over here. I mean, because we use the slower months, we break our year into 2 years. So the slower months, December, January, February, is when we kind of accomplish everything that's going to happen in the next 4 or 5. So we've, I guess the first thing is we've brought on some new people. There was a lot of time that we had to kind of hold off on doing some of that till it got a little more stable, but we're actually back at pre-pandemic levels now in staffing, and we have really some great new people that have added onto our team. So we're excited about that. Our New York City office, we had a chance to reopen it again in September, and now we're fully staffed and we have full inventory there. So we're excited about that. Many of the ways, one of the other ways that we're kind of different is we have our own vehicles, we have our own equipment, we have in-house staff. Most production companies really don't. They have ideas, but we actually have the stuff, and ideas still. But it's part of what helps keep our costs in line for our clientele. But that requires maintenance. And so we've had to go through a lot of equipment maintenance and upgrades, and we have some new equipment coming in, some new lighting, especially to add a little energy. And we actually got to use some of those last week for some friends of ours over at Caperberry Events.
Okay.
They had a grand opening of one of their spaces, and the lights really help. So we're very happy to have some new equipment that we can bring to the table for many of our clients.
Nice. I love those guys at Caperberry Events. I actually was sad that I missed it. I know someone on my team went, but I was in the Dominican Republic baking in the sun, but I did.
Yeah, that sounds terrible.
It was horrible, Joe. It's horrible. So, but yeah, and lighting, I love lighting, so that's good stuff. All right. So this last question is my absolute favorite because I love getting perspectives from people that have been in business for a while. So any advice that you would share with someone who is thinking about starting a business, or maybe someone who has started a business but is really kind of having a rough time? Anything that you would share, any advice that you would share with those folks?
I mean, I feel like I'm giving away some real secrets here. I don't know if I
That's
can
what
part
we
with this
do.
kind of knowledge.
We share to help. We share to help others because along our journey, someone shared and helped us. So that's what this podcast is really all about. So give it up,
Well,
Joe.
all right, all right. With that in mind, I do have a few things I think I can offer. You know,
Awesome.
I will start with what someone told me, right, when I
Okay.
started in the very beginning. Brilliant man, Harvard graduate, ran this big company, and that everybody loved him, by the way. And so I learned a lot just from watching how he treated people and what he did. But I said to him one day, "Hey, listen, I'm getting into this business. What words of wisdom can you give me?" And he said, "Sales." And he walked away. I said, whoa, 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 whoa. You can't just give me one word. What does that mean? He goes, without sales, you don't need anything else. So I would strongly encourage people to get actively involved, whether that's in the marketing of their product, it's in networking, getting out there. If people don't know you, they don't know your product, then you're just not going to have as much work. It's not that complicated. But I think that's always the first thing I go to. And of course, that happens to be something that I was actually trained in. So that's a good thing. But sales and networking, being out there has got to be a starting point. I also, because this comes up with other people in our industry, I talk to a lot of people in our industry, and I remind them to keep their overhead low. You need to be stable, and I don't think you want to put yourself behind a lot of debt and start behind the eight ball. So
Yeah.
I think you got to establish yourself a little bit, and and even we had to go through, of course, ramping up in 2008 and 9 with the financial issues, and then the pandemic. Like, we had to start over.
Yeah.
And we're pretty careful about how we were ramping up for that very reason, because, I guess another point would be cash flow and how you want to handle cash flow. Cash flow is I think a very confused thing for many people. And I have a banker friend, and he tells me that most of the businesses he sees do not understand it. So I think that's something that I would recommend to people, is try to get just a basic understanding of how it works and to know your own numbers.
Yes.
Like,
Yeah.
it can't be somebody else.
Yeah.
You don't have to know everything. I'm not saying you got to do all the, the checks and balances and the debits and all the credits. You don't have to do all that.
Yeah, but
But
you have to know what it costs to run your office, run your company. You have to know. I agree with that. And I think that is, everything, all of that knowledge that you just spilt right now, I think is one of the reasons why, I and other event companies were able to survive the pandemic. It was such a crazy time, but it's like, I think these lessons of cash flow and being conservative. I mean, I look at sometimes just for my business, I've been in, same amount of time as you. And, sometimes I think, should I be bigger? Should I be? And then I'm like, nope, this is my lane. This is where I need to be. This is where I'm comfortable. This is where I know that I'm covered and I don't have all of this crazy, crazy stress. So I think that's great advice that you just dropped. Thank you, Mike. Mic drop. Thank you, Mic drop.
no, we don't
Joe.
drop mics around here. No, no, no.
Oh, yes.
No. We don't drop mics. They're very expensive. We don't drop them.
Yeah, that's a good point. All of that equipment. Whoo, baby. Yeah. So this was great. Thank you, Joe. So tell us where corporate-av.com website. Anything else you want to share? Contact information, socials, let us know.
Sure. Look, we're on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram. We have a YouTube channel that we run a lot of different podcasts, different things off of. But look, corporate-av.com. You can find us there. You can find our phone number, office in New York City, Midtown Manhattan, office in Westchester County. We look forward to seeing everybody.
Thank you, Joe. All right, everybody. We're wrapping up. Thanks, Joe.
Bye.